Hey everybody, how you doing? This is your brother from another mother, Brother Mays, aka Marlon Re'Sean Graves. And like I told you, I always bring special people to the Mays studio. Now listen, this is Live with Brother Mays once again. And right before Turkey Day, I said I was going to be talking about finding financial freedom in tough times. And right now I have special guest, one and only Miss Sharon Alexander. She is the CEO of SBA Financials Incorporated. Well, she's located right there in South Florida. I'm gonna let her tell you a little bit about SBA Financials, because to me, she's tax lady. But at the end of the day, she's a lot more than that. Aaron, first of all, how are you doing?
I am doing well. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Brother Mays, for having me. It's a pleasure.
Hey, that's right. It's a pleasure. All pleasure is mine. But I know you as tax lady. Can you tell everybody what SA Financials is all about? And if we're talking to anyone or giving a referral, what would I actually tell
them? Okay, well, it's funny that you say tax lady, because taxes is actually one of the later things that my company, one of the services that we provided. We are an accounting and taxation firm. We assist people with structuring corporations. We business consultations as well. We stay in the loop with you from the time you incorporate all the way through your journey, making it easier for you to run your business and do what you love to do. So we can be your back office. We offer CFO services as well. We do taxes. Yes, we do. But I am not a tax lady. But I am some people's tax ladies because they don't bring their accounting, to me. So yes, right. I can be your tax lady, but I'm a little bit more than that.
Now, and that's exactly what people need to hear, because I know personally, when it comes to taxes, I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm not all that. I tried doing that thorough thing, and I tried doing it myself, and IRS called me back one time and said, "What the heck are you doing?" And so, but no, with that being said, all seriousness, there's several questions that I had been getting on my inbox when I was telling people about the show that I was going to be doing. And there's a couple of them we're going to be sharing today before we go any further. But why should Americans pay attention to their taxes, first of all?
Well, it's very important as an American, when you pay taxes, to know where your tax dollars are going. A lot of our tax dollars are going to pay for public service workers like the police department, to structure the highways and the streets. But at the same time, tax laws change all the time. So it's important to pay attention, because depending on your tax bracket, it could affect you negatively or positively. So it's important to pay attention. A lot of us don't really like to watch, the news, CNN. I think it's important to stay educated and informed, especially when it comes to your tax dollars.
That's something you just said really important, is that paying attention to tax dollars. Where does it actually go? Because I see in the polls sometimes when we're going to go vote, say, well, there's a raise in taxes by 2 cents tax, and it might be 1 cent tax over here in the county. And then I said, well, it's really not that much money. But then we just looked at, was it President Biden put into place one of the biggest infrastructure bills there is in regards to infrastructure of our roads, everything that's going on, how we get to and from places, making sure everything is right. Some people said, man, that's just too much money coming out of my pocket. I have to ask this question. You've been in business about 21 years?
I've been in accounting for 21 years. I started my company officially about 8 years ago.
About 8 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we were kind of going back in time a little bit, explain to me what is different now in comparison with our finances that we probably wasn't thinking of 8 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, even 20 years ago.
I would have to say that we have way more small businesses being structured now. We've heard it for years that this economy kind of lives on the backs of small businesses, and a lot of we didn't have so many. Now we have so many people starting their own companies, LLCs, following their passions and realizing that they can actually not just enjoy doing what they're doing, but they can capitalize, they can make money off of their passions and their dreams. So we have more of that happening now. People are becoming more conscious of their money and how it's being spent.
Now, is that a result of the pandemic itself? I mean, because the pandemic was a wake-up call. And for a lot of people, I mean, I'm sure you got a lot of calls asking you, would this be a good move financially, things like that. What's the one thing and I really wasn't planning to ask this, but I'm gonna go ahead and ask this. What's the one thing that the pandemic has done that has people in a position of being more aware or alert?
Well, I think for one thing, you said it, with the layoffs, with companies shutting down because people weren't allowed to or able to, or even it wasn't even wise to have people with this pandemic working in close proximities, companies letting people work from home. A lot of companies couldn't really afford to do that, so they laid people off. And I think what caused people to say, okay, I need to start my own business. I need to make sure that in a time like this, if something like this was to occur again, that I'm secure for myself. So I think they noticed that they're really in the moment of a pandemic, in the middle of a pandemic, I think a lot of people realized they didn't have the job security that they thought they had. Right. And so to secure something for themselves, I think was their motivation. And I think, I had a conversation with Career Source, and the conversation was about how many companies like myself were looking for workers, and they're having career fairs and no one's applying for a job. And at first it was because unemployment had been extended and they were getting all of this extra money. But now they're saying unemployment has run out and they're still to apply for jobs. Well, because people are now working for themselves. If you check with the state of Florida and other states, there are, at the Secretary of State, you can see across this country, there are so many more corporations being structured, LLCs being structured, because people are now making sure that they can secure themselves in a time like this.
As we talk about this and the changes, the pandemic exposed many people's financial stability. And of course, what is the top financial goal we want to accomplish in 2022?
That's a really good question. My advice to every single American: secure your credit score. Make sure that you do what you can to pay off your creditors and secure a good credit score for yourself. And the reason why I say this is because even with all of this government funding, because of the pandemic, a lot of these funding, these opportunities were based on credit score. The PPP loans were probably one of the only grants that did not require a credit score to be of a certain number. But every other loan right now that the SBA has, there are requirements, and your credit score being at a minimum, they go through different lenders. So the minimum can change. But now credit is actually super, super, super important, way more important than it actually used to be. It's always been important. But right now, people are not secure. And there are a lot of Americans that are out of jobs with horrible credit score. I see it all the time because I'm right now trying to help establish funding, trying to get them to acquire funding, and a lot of them cannot. One of the requirements is that their business be located in what they call an undeserved area, low income communities. But in addition to that, there is a credit score requirement. And so when it comes to that part, they can't qualify. So I would say come 2022, make it your goal to establish yourself credit worthy. Credit worthy. There's no getting around it.
You speak highly about credit. I see when I'm looking at my own credit, you say fair scores are right about maybe 550 to 650. And then you see good scores are going up to where now it's 680, 720. I mean, does this change at some point in time to where, say, before I couldn't get this because my score was right at 600. Now that it's at a 640, I can get this. You kind of understand what I'm saying? Are these changes something that's going to make us want to do better, or are we just going to say, you know what, because of everything that's happened, I'm okay with my credit score being right here in this mid area? I mean, try to explain that a little bit.
There's a little bit of both, because again, I had a conversation with someone, another business owner, a colleague of mine, and what they're finding is that in the general consensus, people are okay with being okay right now. A lot of people decided, they're okay with being okay. And, being in finance for all of the years that I've been in finance, this pandemic and operating, especially in accounting and assisting people with applying for these loans, I'm telling you, it's not okay to just be okay. It's really not. There are a lot of people. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but because you say that, and I'm thinking, for example, I remember reestablishing my credit a few years ago, and I remember talking to a financial advisor, and I'll just say it. I was sitting right at 620, 630. I'm thinking, okay, after a major divorce 8 years ago, things that were lost, things that were, kind of made me go backwards instead of going forward, was at a point where I said, okay, right where I need to be. Now, it's gotten a lot better. Don't get me wrong. It's gotten a lot better since then. Where I'm at, where I was at that time, so okay was okay, because now I was able to get what I need to get, and then okay with my credit slowly, progressively getting better. But you're telling me telling us, by establishing your credit, you're wanting to really get it as high as possible. Am I correct? Okay.
Absolutely. The reason why I say that is because, like you mentioned earlier, a 550 used to be fair. Now that's bad credit. Right. If it's below a 600, it's bad credit. Ooh. Fair credit has now shifted 600 and above. Good credit between 650, 7, and excellent credit, we all know, is anything above 740, 7. So even with that, there was a time, because when I worked in the automobile industry and I worked in finance, I saw what the different banks required, and a 550, 560 credit score could get you approved with no money down, depending on the bank that you were going through. And this was years ago. Right now, a 550, 560 credit score isn't going to get you anything. If you do get approved to purchase a home or to purchase a vehicle, there's going to be a large down payment associated with that purchase. And so that's the reason why I'm saying this. And it's because also there's monies that's still coming out. There's more COVID funding coming in 2022. I don't know exactly when, but when I read the requirements, a good credit score is one of the requirements.
And is that when it comes, is that going to be based upon how we've established ourselves from the COVID itself? Because think about it, when we come out as COVID, we started working again, a lot of people, like you said, they're now incorporated, they have their own businesses, they're moving forward, LLCs, all the above. Are they looking at that? Or are they still looking at where they were prior to?
Well, they are looking at one of the requirements being an underdeserved. Like I said, that's one of the requirements, underdeserved location, meaning your corporation address has to be in an area that is low income, one of the requirements. And also your credit score has to be a minimum of, and I don't remember exactly what it is, but credit is part of the requirements. So when they are saying, and I had this conversation as well with another accountant friend of mine, and we were discussing what does exactly undeserved, why call companies or businesses located in low income communities underdeserved? In my interpretation of something or someone that is underdeserved means normally you don't qualify for this. But if I'm going to assist you and you're underdeserved, then I'm going to take away the restriction Do you understand what I'm saying? So if credit,
it makes a lot of sense.
Credit worthiness, exactly. So if your credit score being low puts you in a situation where you don't deserve the owner this funding, then I'm going to take away the credit requirement. You understand?
No, I totally understand, and I kind of want to identify the obvious in the room. You are an African American woman. You're a minority, obviously. As a Black business owner, obviously a minority, a woman in a very rigorous industry. What challenges have you faced that you can share with us, for those who are watching and listening right now?
Okay, are you ready to hear this, Brother Mays?
I'm ready. Girl, you know me. I'm ready.
Okay, I will say this. My biggest challenges, me personally, is as a woman in business, I'm not taken seriously by men in business. And believe it or not, other women in business don't take me as seriously as they would take a man in business. I've had experiences where I have entered boardrooms with clients, nothing but men in the room and me. Now, I'm there because my client is trying to get funding, and there are people here from different organizations, different lenders, banks, and they're around this table, and everyone has a copy of what I prepared, financial statements for my client. They're talking to my client, they're talking to each other, and no one is really talking to me. Well, during this meeting, one of these meetings, every time I would say something, I would stand up. And after I spoke, I would sit down. No one else did that. But each time I spoke on what the financial statements that I prepared, I would stand up. And after a while, they looked at me like, why is she doing that? And the reason I did that is because that was my way of saying, I'm here, respect me, see me, don't ignore me. If it wasn't for me and the financial statements that you all, me preparing those statements, my client wouldn't even be here trying to get funding or trying to get you to invest or to grant. And this was just amazing to me. I've always known this when I worked in corporate America. But to see it firsthand as a business owner, I feel like I've always had to prove to men in business, and even, like I said, other women, that I'm a CEO, I'm a business owner, I'm here. We're not taken seriously, we're not respected, we're not regarded, and the biggest struggles.
I notice when I follow you in social media, obviously you're doing a lot of traveling, and that's amazing. Is your clientele starting to expand, or you're now getting out? I mean, because I notice when it comes to your own business, one of the first places you really try to focus on is obviously your nucleus area, your area that you live, the area that people see your face, people say, you know what, I know who SA Financial is. She's right over here down the street, or she's over here, a Sunrise, or whatever the case may be. But I see you traveling. So it seems like your business is being recognized. Kind of talk about that with some of the changes that's been going on, and how are you expanding?
Well, to be honest with you, there is also a positive twist to being a minority woman, small business, because I'm a certified vendor with Miami-Dade County. And being certified gives me opportunity to bid on government contracts, which is great. So benefits, while I struggle sometimes in this industry, in the business world, to be respected and recognized, benefits to being a minority business, female-owned business. So being a certified vendor with the county has allowed me to access government contracts. And here's the thing that I recently found out. I'm certified. I received an email inviting me to apply for a contract in Ohio. Wow. Now, while I knew that I was certified to bid on contracts in South Florida and the entire state of Florida, I was not aware that because I was in this database that I was able to bid on contracts throughout the country. So I received this invitation to bid on a contract in Ohio, and I bid on that contract in Ohio. So I'm waiting for feedback from Ohio.
Okay.
And now that I know I can bid in Ohio, guess what? I'm bidding in every state in this country.
I was getting ready to say, well, because I've been in Southwest Missouri for couple years now. And I got to thinking, I said, well, why don't you just go ahead and bid something here in the state of Missouri?
Absolutely. I will.
Okay,
There's nothing
nice.
stopping me now. And so I feel empowered. Trust me, I do feel empowered. So I want to encourage any Black-owned, minority, female, I have 2 certifications, one for being a micro business, right, and the other for being a Black female-owned micro business. So there are 2 certifications. And I was actually very surprised and very pleased to find out that I could bid in other states. So that opened a whole new, I don't know, now I'm like super excited, and I travel a lot. I have clients in other states. I have done taxes for clients in other states, but now I'm acquiring accounting clients and bookkeeping clients in other states as well. So SA Financials is expanding.
Well, speaking, and congratulations on that, first and foremost.
Thank you.
But here's the thing. Speaking of expanding in other states, I told you there's a lot of questions people were asking me in my inbox. You know, oh yeah, this is going to be great. She's going to be talking about things I need to hear. And I had some questions that came in, and I want to recognize Miss Tanya Clancy. She's from Shreveport, Louisiana. She sent to my inbox. I want to read this question to you. Mm-hmm. And of course it goes very simple. Says, and I'm kind of focusing on here. Small businesses have taken many hits. Many companies have downsized with the new economy. What are you advising small businesses about operation costs setup? And also the second question was, what is the conversation like?
Okay, you said operation costs.
Yeah, so for instance, I believe what she's trying to say is in this question, she's kind of concerned about how does the conversation get started about setting up your business. I mean, like for instance, one of the questions states here, operation cost. So I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to kind of predict, what is this cost? What is it going to cost me if I do start this business, and what does that setup look like, especially in this new normal?
Okay, that's a very good question. Mm-hmm. Here's something that I know that a lot of people don't know. Mm-hmm. When you incorporate in different states, cost is different. The state of Mississippi, listen to this, to incorporate in the state of Mississippi, it's only $50. To incorporate in the state of, yes.
Whoa, back up. I want you to repeat. Go back a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, repeat that, because you said $50 in one state. And I'm looking at the incorporation in my state, and I'm saying, what the world? Talk about that. Why is it different? First of all,
it's different. Okay. It's different because of the cost of living. The cost of living is not the same in every state. In the state of Mississippi, $50 to incorporate. In the state of Texas, $300 to incorporate. In the state of Florida, and it all depends on the structure of the corporation.
Right.
But this is C Corp, okay? An LLC in Texas is $300. A C Corp, $400. In the state of Mississippi, a C Corp, $50. In the state of Florida, a C Corp, $70. And LLC, $138. So
no, yes. I'm gonna stop you again, because I always say, talk to me like a 5-year-old. Some people on here that probably don't know what the world you talking about. Like C Corp, did she say ABC?
C Corp,
C Corp, and then LLC code. So talk about that. What's the difference between the two?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Now, a lot of people ask me that question. What's the difference between a C Corp and an S Corp?
Right.
An S Corp is actually an LLC or a C Corp that has elected as an S Corp for the purpose of avoiding certain tax issues. Mm-hmm. When you elect to be an S Corp, basically when you get to $199,999, up to that point, you're good. But once you hit that $200,000 mark and more, if you're not an S Corp, then you enter another tax bracket and you're taxed there. When you elect to be an S Corp, you can actually have an LLC with an S Corp election. You can have an INC, like SA Financials is incorporated, and we can elect to be an S Corp, which is very highly recommended. Some people say, oh, well, I won't be making $200,000 anytime soon. The best thing to do is better safe than sorry.
Well,
so yes.
No, because this is very important because, you know, I do a lot of nonprofit, number one, and I'm very proud of it. I've had people come to me and say, nonprofit, does that make money? How should you file? And what's the advantages and disadvantages? Can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
You mean for nonprofits?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I know some disadvantages.
Right.
But I kind of want a professional to tell it. So go ahead.
Well, usually when people structure nonprofits is because they're doing work that's coming hard. They're doing charitable work. Now, some people say, well, if I'm doing charitable work and I'm not charging for my services, then how do I make money? Well, nonprofits receive grants.
Right.
So that's one of the benefits of having a nonprofit. You can live your dreams, your passion, you can help people, and there is funding for that. Your community, your local government, and, you know, your not so local government, there is funding for nonprofits. So as long as there is a board of directors or a staff, you can receive funding. There are salaries for staff members of nonprofits. A lot of people don't understand that.
I love that part because,
there are salaries. Yes, you can receive funding to staff a nonprofit, and those people receive payroll. They get money. They get paid to run this nonprofit. A lot of the services, if not all of the services, are provided free to the community. And this is the reason why. If you're giving to the community, your community will give to you. When I say that, I mean your local governments, your cities, your counties, there's funding for nonprofits, as long as you're helping the community. And when it comes to for-profit, that question that the young lady answered, again, it differs in every state. And she would have to find out with the state of Louisiana how much they charge to incorporate their different structures. So depending on how she wants to structure herself, she would have to look that up. Now, the question you asked me about how to structure, a lot of people don't know the benefits of structuring as an LLC versus an INC.
Right.
And this is what I say to you, whenever someone wants to structure as an LLC, which a lot of people do, and they feel like, oh, I'm gonna start an LLC, and they have no clue what the benefits and disadvantages are.
Well, I think one of the things, and I'll be honest with you, when I started my LLC years ago, the first thing I said, protected. They hear that word, I'm protected. Is that true?
Somewhat. Okay. LLC actually stands for limited liability.
Right.
Okay. So if there's limited liability, then of course there's also some profit. Now, I tell people it doesn't matter what structure of corporation as you know that you decide to get, always get liability insurance to cover yourself if God forbid anything ever goes wrong. You're covered. Sometimes you're not making enough to have to pay out whatever it is those damages are. So it's best to have that insurance in place. Now in LLC, there is some liability to you, but there are also benefits to you as an LLC. Because whatever tax breaks your company gets, you also get when you have an LLC. When you have an INC, a C corporation, you're completely separate from your company. So while you don't bear any liability, you also get zero tax breaks from your company. It's totally separate.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So you have to decide, am I willing to the risk of the liability in order to get the tax benefits? If so, then an LLC is the best way to go. If not, if you don't care about the tax advantages, zero liability, then a regular C Corp is the better way to go.
Here's a question that, and I know we're kind of short on time, and I know I don't want to take too much of your time, but I want to get this question in because Donald Willis is actually from your state. He's from Florida. He's actually out of Tallahassee, Florida. He sent this to me the other day. He says, how should families be planning for their immediate future financially?
That's a very good question. For the immediate future, like I said, credit, credit, credit. Become more conscious of your tax dollars, where it's being spent. Pay attention to your credit score. Make sure that you keep that score high. When it comes to families, I would recommend that you start saving. A lot of people don't save. And some people feel like, how can I save if I don't make enough to save? And I heard someone say this to me when I was younger, you know, teenager, working, have a job. And all I wanted was to buy clothes, spend money, you know. And I kept saying, well, I don't make enough to save. But that's absolutely not true. Because at SBA Financials, we also help people, you know, create budgets for their lifestyle, budgets for business, budgets for different goals. I have a client who recently called and she says, you know, my husband and I, we save, but we don't save enough. We want to buy a home and we keep putting it off because we don't feel like we can save enough. By the time we got through going over her expenses and her income, she can save way more than what she's saving. She's doing a decent job, but she could do a better job. She could have been a homeowner a long time ago. So she got really excited. We sat down, we created this budget, and she's on her way. Within 6 months, she'll be able to purchase her home. It can be done. So I would recommend that families sit down, have the conversation, talk about your spending habits, talk about goals. We want to purchase a new vehicle. We want to purchase a new home. We want to maybe we want to relocate. Sit down and put together a budget. If you're not, you know, able to do it or you don't know how, get with a company, get with a financial advisor and put together a budget, have the conversation. It's very, very important. I will say this, especially in the Black community, a lot of Black people feel we don't make enough to save. I've heard that all my life growing up. I don't make enough to save. And it's usually in the Black community.
Wow.
Yes.
And I would think that, you know, obviously not to say that the Black community is all we focused on this show today, but it seemed like that's kind of across the board, because even some of my Hispanic friends that I speak with, they tell me all the time, we don't make enough money, you know, and I'm like, I know, I've been there. And I felt like at times, how if it takes me to spend this amount and or even more, and how in the world am I going to take something from that just to put back when I'm probably going to need it here in a week or 2 weeks? That's not really saving to me. Just to give you a little secret, here in the state of Missouri, a lot of us country folk, we would put our money in a pail, bury it, and as grandma used to tell us, don't go visit your money, or go visit that money, because if you go visit,
chances are, yes. Absolutely.
He would say something very crazy sometimes, and I'd just be like, what do you mean? It made sense. I put my money in a school box, put it aside, I'm back at it 2 or 3 days, 3 days later.
It's sacrifice.
Exactly.
It takes sacrifice.
But here's a question. You talk about youth, you talk about, you know, if the younger generation obviously can learn how to save, learn how to invest, learn how to really be more financially independent. And I think that's really important. My son, he and I talk about this all the time. He's a gamer. He wants to do everything with games, 11 years old. And first thing I say to him all the time is like, you know, for the same amount that you put into that game, how much are you willing to put aside?
Absolutely.
For your future? And I ask him this question all the time. It took him a little bit to start understanding that. And so now where we're at is, for every game that he buys, we're breaking it down to where he's putting a certain amount aside. He's taking the other amount, he's learning how to spend it, because there is knowledge in spending as we speak. Okay.
Right.
You know, being a smart spender. But kind of do this for me real quick. You started this business, you said 20 years ago you had this in mind, what you wanted to do, but then 8 years ago you really made this happen. If you could go back 20 years from now, knowing what you know now, what would you say to that? And I'm not going to say younger Sharon Alexander, but I'm going to say someone that is obviously, heck, younger.
Younger,
Tell
my
us what
younger
you say to
sibling.
yourself 20 years ago, girl. Look, I ain't gonna get in trouble. Go ahead.
20 years ago, I would have told myself, do it. I would have done it sooner than I did it. I'm gonna be honest with you. In 2008, I was laid off with that recession. Remember that recession?
I remember it well.
Yeah. I was laid off during that recession. And I actually started my company then. I started my company, but I had no intentions on working my company full time. I started my company, but I was looking for a job. I was working through staffing agencies, taking temp positions where I can get them. So I never really focused on my company. And once I found a permanent job, I just let it go. My corporation was dissolved automatically by the state of Florida, and I just let it go. So what I know now, if I knew that then, I would have been a Fortune 500 company. SA Financials would have been on the map a long time ago. I would have done it. I have always been an entrepreneur. Even when I was married, when I was younger, I had small businesses. Right. I've always had the mindset to own my own. So it would have happened eventually, but had I known then what I know now, I would have done it 100%.
One quick question, and this is coming from Edith. I'm sorry, Edith Thomas. And Miss Thomas, this is somebody actually I personally know. And so she tapped me on my shoulder and said, "You're doing that show with the financial lady, huh?" And I said, "Yes, I am." She said, "Ask her this question." Now, Edith is about 72 years old. I think she just turned 73. Just turned 73. Here's the question. Is it too late?
Is it too late for Edith?
No. Well, put it this way. She wanted to know the question was, is it too late for me to put money or invest? That's the question, was more or less to invest. The money back for a rainy day, maybe even get a couple $1,000. Like she kept talking to me about CDs and stuff like that. And I said, I remember CDs. I said the interest rate was this, and I used to do it. When I was out of college, man, people thought, "You got a CD?" "Yeah, I got a CD." I ain't talking about the CDs that you put your music in. I was buying CDs left and right. I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought it was a thing, but we talking 25 years ago. But is it too late? Is seniors who are now, some seniors who are going back to work? Because you got some seniors who are 65, 66, 67. They're going back to work because they need to then set their retirement up correctly. So here it is. Got to put their money somewhere quickly to make some money 5 years from now.
No, it's not too late. Edith, it is not too late. As a matter of fact, it's good to watch the stock market and pay attention to what's going on, because there are stocks that Edith herself, she can invest in right now, and within a year, 2 years, really get a good return. So it's never too late. It just depends on what you invest in.
Wow. That's a good point. That's a good point. I just said Walmart. Anyway, they've been around for a while. But I'll tell you a quick story. Real quick. So when I was 18, I remember my grandfather. I tell this to a lot of kids I come across, and they like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, this really, really happened." My grandfather, has an 8th grade, 9th grade education. He country boy. He grew up doing 2 or 3 jobs all his life. I remember him asking me to get in the car. I was 17. I was actually 17. He said, "You about to graduate, huh?" I was like, "Yes, sir." He said, "Come on, in the car." Get in the car with him. We're strolling around, basically just profiling. We driving, and my grandfather. I'm feeling good, and we end up in the parking lot of Walmart. It was real talk. And I asked him. I said, "What are we doing? Are we shopping?" He's like, "No." We got out of the car, and he had this toothpick in his mouth. He said, "Son, if you look 3 years down the line, is this place still gonna be here?" After thinking, I was like, "I hope so. Why? He said, see, when you put money into something, you want to make sure it lasts, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Walmart gonna be here 30 years from now?" I said, "Well, I hope so, but," he said, "What do they have people need?" Well, home goods, At the time, it was just dry food, clothes, a one-stop shop. Grandpa, what are you trying to say? He said, they're going to eventually do a lot of other things. And then he comes back and says, now doing autos too, autos as well, right? You can get an oil change over there and all that. He said, it's companies like that you can invest in. 30 years from now, their services have grown and they're probably going to do more your kids than you. So I'm sitting here thinking about what he was trying to tell me. And he says, son, here's some money I'm going to give you. Now, you can easily go out here and go spend this. You know, I'm proud of you. You graduated. I'm going to give you some money. What do you think you ought to do with it? He says, do me one favor. Don't answer that question. Just do it. I can happily. Was that? Listen, I'm going to say it. I did. I actually invested in Walmart. When I retired.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. But I say that openly because thank you, Edith, for that question, because it really made me think. It really made me think where we are. You know, I'm a caregiver for my mother, and I got to thinking about, you know, the things that she did, even with her own money and everything. And it really drew me to the point where this is a very important topic. And I probably need, what I'll do is, because I really would like to bring you back on my show, actually talk about that. Because we're starting to see a lot of seniors back in the workforce and things. But for the sake of time, hey, listen, everybody, we spent the last almost half an hour, matter for a little bit more, talking to Sharon Alexander. She is the CEO of SBA Financials. And I'm going to let you incorporate, I'm going to let her tell you where she's located, how you can get in touch with her, and pretty much, hey, this is your tax lady, so you need to talk to her. All right. Sharon, can you tell people how they can reach you and a little bit about what SBA Financials, what they're doing right now to really help you?
Yes. So right now, SBA Financials is, and let me just drop a little nugget before we close out. For all of those companies, small businesses that are still trying to get the targeted advance, the supplemental targeted advance from the SBA, just so you know, December 31st is the deadline to apply. Once you apply by December 31st, they will still be processing applications in the upcoming months, but December 31st is the deadline. There are still millions of dollars for that program. Now that is money you do not have to repay. A lot of my clients didn't even bother to apply. They said, oh, I don't know what they're gonna ask for. I didn't bother, you know, so I had them to go back in their emails, find that invitation, forward it to me, and let me assist you, because this is money that you don't have to repay. It's $10,000 and additional $5,000. It's a supplemental grant. It's an advance from the SBA, and they're still funding. So to any small business out there that received an invitation from the SBA to apply, you have until December the 31st. If you don't know how, call SBA Financials. I'll be more than happy to assist you. We are here, our principal office located in South Florida. We serve the Miami, Dade, Broward, and West Palm Beach area. And we will service any county in the state of Florida. As you heard earlier, we are also able to service you if you're located outside of the state of Florida. Our number is 954-826-5834. My name is Sharon. I am the CEO, and we have other accountants and bookkeepers that can assist you as well. So if you need accounting services, bookkeeping, your taxes done, I can be your tax lady. I can be that. And if you just need assistance with these loans that the SBA has, we can assist as well. If you're interested in that grant, you've received an invitation, you don't know how to apply, give us a call.
I tell you what, if you do this, we're going to make this deal right here. We're going to do this. Are you ready for this one, Sharon?
Yes.
If you call Miss Sharon Alexander and you become a client of hers, this is what I'm going to do for you. For 5 people, do this. I'm going to throw in a $50 gift card just for you. And you can use it personal, you can use it for business, you can use it for what, but I will throw in a personal $50 gift card for 5 people who hear it from this program. And you got to say you heard it on Live with Brother May's show. Now, I'm not Oprah. I'm going to say, you get one, you get one, you get one, you get one. But I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling good because I think it's a great thing. And this is information we need. But you hold me to this, Miss Sharon. And if you get 5 people that say heard it from the Live with Brother May show, they got to be with you at least 90 days now. Okay, 90 days. All right,
okay,
got to stay with you at least 90 days. 90 days, and I will send them a $50 gift card directly from me on behalf of Miss Sharon. All right, everybody okay with that? I'll tell you what, Miss Sharon Alexander. Listen, first and foremost, I just want to personally thank you. Thank you for coming on our show, enlightening us on some. I mean, you really enlightened us on some things. I mean, there were some questions that I was like, "Ooh, I didn't know that," you know. And at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. It's all about learning, getting the knowledge and everything. And with that being said, listen, guys, I am coming back strong. We're going in 2022, and you're going to see a couple shows that's going to make you turn your head. So you will see Miss Alexander coming back. I think I'm going to have her I'm going to have her come back for a panel that I want to put together dealing with finances and everything. With that being said, any last words you want to say real quick? Any shout outs?
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Just so you know, I'm actually preparing right now for a masterclass that Miami-Dade County has asked me and invited me to teach on finance. Woo. And it's an opportunity for me to empower and educate small businesses and anyone who's interested in information about when it comes to finance. There are a lot of people who are clueless when it comes to finance. And so Miami-Dade County, the purpose for that masterclass is to empower and educate the small businesses that are trying to become certified vendors in order to get government contracts. It's huge. And I'm excited about that. It's coming up in 2022.
All right, well, perfect. Well, we're going to be looking for that. And I want you, matter of fact, I want you to get back with me, let me know when that's actually happening so I can promote it on my platform and everything. And I definitely will do that. And with that being said, hey, guys, it's live. This is your brother from another mother, Brother Mays, a.k.a. Marlon Re'Sean Graves, government name. This is Live with Brother Mays show. And, hey, we out. As we always say, peace. We're good one, Sharon.